So, what if I told you that for like decades, businesses have been using a completely broken compass to navigate their most important relationships? I mean, they're trying to make their partners happy, but they could be focusing on all the wrong stuff. Just take the franchise industry, for example. I mean, it's massive, right? Well, a 2012 study in Korea found that a staggering 60% of franchisees were unhappy with their corporate headquarters. 60%! That is more than half of all partners in a system that's literally built on partnership. You know, this isn't just a small hiccup. We're talking about a systemic failure here. Okay, so this brings us to the core question we're tackling today. Why is this happening? You gotta wonder, are businesses just really bad at listening? Or, and this is the interesting part, is the very tool they're using to measure all this just fundamentally broken? All right, to figure that out, let's first take a look at the old map that pretty much everyone has been using. It's like a standard tool you learn about in business school. But as you're about to see, it has a massive critical blind spot. So this tool is called Importance Performance Analysis, or IPA for short. And honestly, the logic behind it is beautifully simple. It basically helps a business figure out where to put its time and money by asking two really simple questions. First, what do our partners actually care about? And second, how well are we actually doing on those things? The whole idea is to focus your energy where importance is high, but your performance is, well, low. Seems to make perfect sense, right? So you take all these factors and you plot them on this grid. If something's really important and you're knocking it out of the park, you're in the keep up the good work zone. Simple. But if it's important and you're dropping the ball, that's a huge red flag. You need to concentrate here. And if something's not important and you're not great at it, well, who cares? That's low priority. Super simple, really intuitive, and for a very long time, this was the go-to map for strategy. But here's the fatal flaw. The whole idea of traditional IPA is built on one giant and totally wrong assumption, that satisfaction and dissatisfaction are just two ends of the same stick. It thinks that if you just stop doing what makes people unhappy, you will automatically make them happy. But what if that's not how people work? What if that's not how our brains are wired at all? And this is where we get that aha moment. Turns out, there's a different theory that gives us a much better, much more powerful lens for understanding what's really going on in these business partnerships. It's a framework called the Kano model, and it totally shatters that simple, linear way of thinking. See, it says there isn't just one type of factor influencing how we feel. Nope, there are three, and they all work in completely different ways. Okay, first up, you've got what are called basic factors. Think of these as the absolute must-haves. They're just expected. The perfect example is a hotel room. You don't check in and get all excited because the room is clean, right? You just expect it to be. But if it's dirty, man, you get really, really dissatisfied. So meeting these basic needs doesn't win you any bonus points. It just gets you in the game. Next, we have performance factors. Now, this is the stuff we normally think about. The logic here is simple. The better you perform, the happier your partner is. It's a straight line. Think better fuel efficiency in a car, or faster internet speeds. For franchisee, it's higher profits. With these, more is always better. And finally, and this is the real game changer, we have excitement factors. These are the things that are totally unexpected, the little delights that just wow you. You know, like getting a surprise upgrade to the penthouse suite. If it doesn't happen, you're not upset because you never expected it in the first place. But when it does happen, it creates this massive boost in satisfaction and loyalty. Honestly, these are the secret to creating true fans, not just satisfied customers. So the big question is, what happens when you take that old, flawed map and rebuild it using this much smarter three-factor lens? Well, a group of researchers did exactly that to get to the bottom of that whole franchisee problem. They went out and surveyed 375 food franchisees in Korea, and they asked about everything: logistics, how profitable they were, fairness, marketing support, the whole shebang. Then they analyzed all that data twice. First, using the old traditional map, and then again using a new map they called the revised IPA, or ReIPA, which actually gets the difference between just fixing problems and truly creating delight. And the results? Whoa. They were absolutely stunning. The strategic maps for what to do were completely different depending on who you were talking to. Look, on the left, for the franchisees who are already pretty happy, the main priority was just to keep up the great logistics. But on the right, for the really unhappy ones, their top priorities were totally different. They needed better flexibility and higher profitability. It proves that a one-size-fits-all strategy is it's guaranteed to fail. Let's make this super concrete. Take flexibility. The asymmetry here is just crystal clear. The data shows that when the main office is inflexible, yeah, it causes a little bit of dissatisfaction, but not a ton. But now look at what happens when they are flexible. The positive impact is massive. It's a classic excitement factor. See, it's not about just meeting the bare minimum. It's about actually delighting your partners by adapting to what they need. So when the researchers sorted all the factors into these new categories, a really clear picture started to form. Things like product quality and profitability, those were your standard performance factors. The better they are, the happier people are. But things like logistics support, fairness, and that big one, flexibility, turns out those were all asymmetric excitement factors. These were the hidden levers, the secret weapons that could create these huge jumps in satisfaction. Look, this is way more than just some academic exercise. This new map gives businesses a much clearer, way more effective path to turn all this data into a real-world strategy that actually works. So, what does this all mean for a business? What should they actually do? Well, first off, you have to stop treating everyone the same. It just doesn't work. The research is clear. To help your most unhappy partners, you've got to focus on improving flexibility and making sure they're profitable. Now, to keep your already happy partners from leaving, you need to maintain excellence in logistics and product quality. But here's the kicker. For everyone, the biggest bang for your buck comes from investing in those powerful excitement factors, like fairness and flexibility, because that's where you get that huge, outsized return on satisfaction. And that really brings us to the final big question. The old way of looking at things was just flawed because it couldn't tell the difference between preventing a bad thing and creating a good thing. But now we have a much better map. And so it leaves us all with something really important to think about. What are the hidden excitement factors in your world? What are those unexpected things you could be doing that could completely transform your most important business relationships?